A week out from finals and the trade rumours are heating up with all the exit interviews that have happened in the past week, players wanting to let the clubs know where they see their future. There has been massive movements in the trade space. So today I'm going to go through the 10 trades that I think will most likely happen in 2024. Some of these are already confirmed. Some of them are being worked through. So let's get into it. If you enjoy these videos, make sure to leave a like, comment down below your thoughts, and subscribe if you're new for more trade content in the coming weeks. The first one that I wanted to talk about is Josh Battle. We've been speaking about this guy for a while now. He's played 123 games at St Kilda. He was a second-round pick back in 2016. He's been pretty highly underrated up until this point when he started to seek a trade. People started to really notice how much of an impactful player he has been for the Saints. A big-bodied defender, often takes the best or the second best forward with Cal Wilkie. He's had a great year at St Kilda. They're going to sorely miss Josh Battle, and he is looking to go to the Hawks in 2025. Hawthorn are going to be busy this trade period because Tom Barrass has also nominated Hawthorn as his club of choice. Sam Mitchell apparently flew to Perth to make this deal happen, which speaks to the culture and the project that he's building at Hawthorn. Tom Barrass is a life member, premiership player, and a best and fairest winner at West Coast. So it sort of makes perfect sense for Tom Barrass to move on at this point. He's done a lot for West Coast, got the flag, got a BNF. He's the vice captain at the moment. And now he's going to move to a really exciting project at Hawthorn. He's 28 years old and he's still under contract at West Coast. So it's going to look like it's going to be around 2 first-round picks, which need to get this deal done for Barrass. Whereas Josh Battle is an unrestricted free agent, so that deal shouldn't take too much to get over the line. But Hawthorn are quickly forming one of the best defences in the comp. Just think about how much more impact James Sicily is going to have in that intercepting role now when Josh Battle and Tom Barrass can take the 2 best forwards, freeing up Sicily and guys like Hardwick to do that intercepting role. Then you got guys like Jath just running off the half-back line. Hawthorn are going to massively boost their stocks this off-season, and they could be one of the most stacked lists heading into the 2025 season. Another heartbreaking story to come out of the D's this off-season is Alex Bullen wanting a trade back to his home state of South Australia. This guy did not want to leave the D's for the culture or anything that you've heard happen with the D's in the sort of last year or so. It's for family reasons, he says, obviously coming from South Australia. But he said if he could pick up the Melbourne Football Club and move it to SA, he would, because he's a heart and soul player. After being a pretty frustrating player in the first part of his career, he's really come on to be a really tough, high-pressure player, that defensive small forward role, but he tackles hard, his repeat efforts, and he's won games for the D's this season. That Port Adelaide game in particular away, this season was absolutely unreal. He's going to be massively missed by the D's. The Crows will be busy this trade period. We'll get on to some other players that they are looking at getting, but it's looking like the Crows are going to be the club that Bullen wants to play for. So we could see Alex Bullen playing for the Crows in 2025. John Noble from the Collingwood Football Club has informed them that he wants to play up on the Gold Coast for family reasons in 2025. He's a handy halfback flanker. He brings a lot of experience to the Gold Coast, but he's struggled to sort of make consistent footy happen at Collingwood when they're at full strength. He famously missed that 2023 grand final, being in tears on the final siren, seeing all of his teammates win the flag and not being a part of it. But Gold Coast are building an exciting project up there. I think obviously got a 3-time premiership coach to drive the standards forward, and they're looking to add a lot of experience this offseason. There could be interest in Alex Davies, the midfielder, going the other way because he hasn't been getting much game time at the Gold Coast. Maybe a Jack Lukosius, although his salary is probably too high for Collingwood at this time. But sending John Noble the other way, and I'll get on to Joe Richards soon, but Collingwood will be strengthening their trade hand, or maybe just getting some good draft picks to bring in some young talent this offseason. So speaking of Joe Richards, he's a 25-year-old. He's only played, I think, about 9 games in the AFL, and he has indicated that he wants to move out of Collingwood. Now, Port Adelaide have reportedly tabled a 4-year offer for Joe Richards, which is crazy to me that you're going to give a 4-year offer to a bloke that is 25 years old and has played less than 10 games. They must see something in him. By all accounts, he's had a pretty solid VFL career. And when he came into the side this year for Collingwood, he must have done good things, because 4 years for a player that is that inexperienced is quite ludicrous to me. But I don't know. I haven't seen much of the man play. Collingwood fans, let me know if he's going to be sorely missed or not. There's another move for Collingwood that will bolter their trade hand. A club that's going to be really busy this offseason is Gold Coast. They have a lot of draft capital and they've got a few players wanting a trade up to the Gold Coast. So Dan Rioli is one of those players. He's contracted until the end of the 2027 season, meaning a big trade will have to be tabled to make this wish granted. He's a Richmond Life member, 3-time premiership player. I think he comes second in the BNF, so he is a handy player. But apparently Gold Coast are willing to give up pick 6 in this year's draft. Now, for me, for Dan Rioli, I would not be giving up pick 6. Yes, he's a handy player. And yes, the Gold Coast need some experience. But pick 6 in this year's draft is massive. That could get you a Petracca. That could get you, that elk of player, a genuine A-grader. So to give it away for Dan Rioli, it reminds me of the trade that Freo made with Gold Coast for Lockie Weller. An experienced player goes up to the Gold Coast, a sort of half-back speedy player like Dan Rioli, and we end up getting Andrew Brayshaw. Now, how Andrew Brayshaw could be getting used at the Gold Coast, probably a bit different because they have a stacked midfield, but I think it's a bit overs for Dan Rioli. But he's going to reunite with Dimmer up at the Gold Coast by all accounts, and this will give Richmond some much-needed draft assets. Player looking to leave Gold Coast is Jack Lukosius, who's still contracted for 2 seasons, but Hardwick has found it hard to get the best out of Jack Lukosius, and I think that's probably been a constant for the entire career that Jack Lukosius has had at Gold Coast. We've seen him play some pretty good footy up forward, particularly last year. I think he kicked up to 40 goals or got close to it. But we've seen him play in defence. We've seen him play on the wing. We've seen him play in the middle. Obviously, he's a gun kick, but it's just a matter of getting the best out of him. Is he a player that has the minerals? Is he hard enough? Does he want it enough? Or is he just happy being on the outside, getting the uncontested ball and looking sexy? I don't know. Jack Lukosius is looking to play his footy elsewhere, though. He could stay at Gold Coast, but it's more likely that he will move. He's on a $900,000 a season contract. Absolutely massive money. And I think the only club that's willing to take that salary off of the Gold Coast Suns' books is the Adelaide Crows. Port Adelaide will also have a dip, but I think it's more likely that Lukosius joins Alex Neil-Bullen in heading to the Crows. Now, Shai Bolton has officially requested a trade back to WA, and hopefully my boys Fremantle can strike a deal for Shai Bolton, who is currently on a really big contract at Tigerland. He's an all-Australian. He's an absolute jet, brings that X factor. He can be quite a frustrating player at times, but I think if you're playing in a good system, he could really shine, and he did that during the premiership years. Freo are going to be very busy this trade period. We need some X factor, some game winners that we can bring in, and I'm just hoping that we can sort of make a package to Richmond that isn't going to come back to bite us in the arse. Maybe we get Liam Baker and Shai Bolton in the same trade. Maybe we send 2 first-round picks and a player like Will Brodie, something that will satisfy the needs of Richmond, but could also bring Baker and Bolton in, because those are 2 players that will make us a way better side and just give us that experience and X factor that we need to push deep into finals. Speaking of Liam Baker, he's another one we're going to talk about. He has informed Richmond that he doesn't want to play there next year. He wants to go back to WA. This is a trade that's been talked about for a long time. He's a country WA boy, has always sort of had that interest to go home, and now the Tigers are entering a new phase and a new era post that Dimmer era. Baker is ready to go home. He grew up a West Coast fan, and I've heard from sources that when he said he got drafted, he said he'd never come back and play for Freo. However, West Coast are currently pretty shite, if we're being honest. And I don't know how much they're going to want to give up for players like Baker or Bolton, because these are high-value players that will come at a cost. And given where West Coast are in their rebuild, I'm not sure what they're going to be willing to give up. I think it's more likely that he will go to West Coast if they can maybe do it for a second rounder or something like that. But Freo probably are in the driver's seat with the value to give Richmond, who ultimately have the decision to make. Cozzy Pickett is another player that has been stirring the trade rumour pot, with reports coming out that his agents have reached out to multiple clubs to seek a deal closer to family. He has family in WA. His cousin's with Liam Ryan, which is news to me. Cozzy has a young family, and the reports are saying that he wants that network to help bring up his family, which is fair enough, Cozzy. Just come to Freo, brother. We'll take care of your family. We'll give you a fat deal that make sure that you are financially free for the rest of your life. Come to Freo, cause we'll take good care of you. You know that Michael Walters fella, multiple-time All-Australian, absolute jet. You can learn a thing or two of him, kick him out the side, and just play in our forward pocket and midfield for the rest of your career, cause come to Freo, please. This man's an absolute gun, but I feel like this could be a deal that maybe happens in the future. I'm not sure if it happens yet. He's still contracted. Everything that's going on at Melbourne right now, I think they're going to try to keep hold of as many star players as they can. They've already lost Luke Jackson to us in the past. They would be very reluctant to lose a player of Cozzy Pickett's quality. I'd probably say this one is about a 5 out of 10. A bit of a 50-50 one here, but this could be a massive fish to land for Freo in our pursuit for premiership success. So there's 10 big name players that will most likely move in 2024. Comment down below what you think of this current trade period. Leave a like on the video if you did enjoy it, and subscribe if you're new. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care. You plonkers.